everybody, and welcome to episode 87? Maybe? I don't know. Do you know which episode this is, Danny?
No, you upload them, so I would know. Yeah, I'm gonna look.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
look on YouTube.
I don't know at all. I think it's 87. Could be 87.
Let me look. Marbin Real Talk.
Yeah, we need to get this.
The last one is 6 days ago, right?
Yeah, should be.
So that was 86.
Oh, nice. You see, I'm on top of shit.
Oh, we're almost at 11,000 subscribers on YouTube. Wow.
Wow, that's impressively bad.
Well, we don't really do a lot of stuff on YouTube.
No, we don't. Yeah, it's so anyway, how are you doing? How's life?
Pretty good. What about you?
You know, can't complain.
I can always complain.
Yeah, well, I can, but I won't. No, it's been good ever since we got back from the cruise. I've been hanging out with my baby a whole lot, doing some music things. I had like really concentrated days of teaching now. It used to be really spread out, but now I have to coordinate it with childcare. So it's these big blobs of me just like, you know, sitting there and giving a bunch of people lessons, and it's very strange, but like, you know, I get like on usually by like lesson 2 or 3 of the day, like in the morning, I start talking about something that is kind of interesting, and then the rest of the students, it sort of organically weaves itself into the conversation somehow. I don't even
Yeah.
understand how, but that's like the thing I talk about that day.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, actually, I had to call John because I was teaching this one guy about question and answer, and you know what I was showing him wasn't even really question and answer. I realized kind of in retrospect, but it was just a very good way of working on phrasing, and yeah, I was so excited about the immediate improvement in this guy's playing that it caused. Like it was one of the things where it just clicked, and yeah, I actually had to call John and tell him about it, tell him to work on it, and we'll see what he does. But
You know, that's the thing that I taught the guy in Australia, right?
what?
Question and answer.
Yeah.
We just talked about it like a month ago.
Well, but I think I came up with a few little exercises that really worked, but also
Like what?
I think the thing I worked on wasn't really question and answer, because when you're doing, if you guys are wondering what question and answer is, people listening, typically you play a phrase, you leave some space, and then you repeat the rhythm of the phrase after that
No.
phrase, you know, or do something that's relating to that rhythm, you know. But like in the very beginning of working on it, you probably won't have the control of really using variations. You're probably going to play pretty much verbatim rhythmically. Um, you know what I mean? Like in the very beginning of working on it, like.
The most basic way I would see it is just you fill an amount of space,
Mhm.
and then you fill the same amount of space.
Yeah, I mean,
And it doesn't really matter even what you do, but you make it sound related just by filling the same amount of space. So if you do one measure, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to do to be did do. You do what I mean?
yeah,
Well, that sounds like it needs another one. 2 measures to do 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 do.
right.
It just
I mean,
it sounds
I think the way to explain, I think that what I came up with was a way of explaining it that I never heard before, that I think made sense to the people listening, which is the amount of empty space creates the symmetry. So that was really the thing that I said that like clicked for people immediately, and I said also to start doing it in a symmetric way, meaning like doing 1 measure, 2 measures, and 4 measures, and then
that's what I
flipping.
was saying basically.
Yeah, so like, one measures would be 2 beats of playing, 2 beats of space, right? So ba da dee ba 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 da ba, right? Whatever you want to do, on the first 2 beats is fine, as long as like 3, 4 remain empty. And even like, it's really about the downbeats. Like you can always play, like, let's say the end of 4, right? It's like you got to just leave those beats, that space.
I don't even think you need to leave us bits, honestly. I think it's just the same, it's just the space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if you do bu di da pa pa. So the first one I didn't leave, the second one I did leave, but it's when the phrase is divided into two equal parts,
Right.
that kind of makes it sound like question and answer. And again, we have a lot of ways to do it, right? So people do stuff that's more obvious, like to do di, to do di, to do di, to do. That's a
Right.
different type of thing. But I'm saying just the general thing of it to me is just a space that's divided into two equal
Yeah,
parts.
but I think for people, like learning jazz and stuff, the thing, kind of the thing that makes it challenging, but also like immediately improves their playing, is when you apply it to a form. Like if you're playing Autumn Leaves or something, and you're doing like measure of playing, measure of space, then you're all of a sudden forced to skip changes. And I think for what I was seeing with students of mine is that the way that a lot of people keep the form and know where they are is just by playing. So they don't have the ability, uh, unless they think about it, to keep playing if they're forced all of a sudden to leave space.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
and that, like, keeping form is a very physical thing, and just by being, having to like either leave a measure of space in the beginning of the form, then kind of play on measure 2, leave measure 3, play on measure 4, it just forced them outside of like a mental box, but they could do it, if they just like slowed it down a tiny bit and thought about it, because it's actually pretty easy, especially if you're playing an instrument where you can comp, and play chords. You can call that space. So they all of a sudden had this ability to divide it, and then when you get into stuff that's like a little bit less symmetric, it really sounds like okay soloing. Like if you play over 2 measures, leave one space. Uh, you know, a lot of like actual players can sort of play that way. That's usually where you would leave it. So yeah, it was pretty immediate tool that I just saw people make, like this leap from like sounding like a student to playing some things that was like, wow, that's like a line, that sounds related. Because I think a lot of people have this idea, especially on guitar, which is like play like a horn player, take a breath. You know what I mean? Like as if like the fact that you run out of air makes your phrasing automatically more musical, but there are so many ways of taking space in a shitty way. And you hear saxophone players do it all the time, where their phrasing is a mess and they breathe. It's like they do stop playing at a certain point, but it's not like it cleans up their phrasing in some sort of controlled way.
My take on it, and that's why I was talking to John about it and to uh, other people about it, is that people, there is a balance between having symmetry in your playing and not having any symmetry in your playing. And something that's too symmetrical is boring and
Absolutely.
cheesy. And but most players start with doing stuff that's too symmetrical for 2 seconds maybe. But okay, I would say that we actually don't start that. Most players think that like having stuff that's too symmetrical just sound like you're a kid, right?
Yeah, of
But
course.
most players don't do that. Most players are on the other end of the spectrum. Like to me, when I hear most players play, I'm not talking about pro players. I'm talking about students.
Hmm.
It's just an endless barrage of things that don't feel connected to each other.
Yeah.
Like ti babu,
Absolutely
ti bu do di di, ti da da di da 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 do da di di do do do, ti do do do, ti do do do, da 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 do 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 di
sure.
do 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 di do 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 da do do do, and then a phrase in the middle of like quote or something, but it doesn't have any symmetry in it that makes any sense. So once you make them cut it up a little bit, it makes it at least sound like ideas in
Well, I mean,
time.
that's exactly right. I mean, when you're working on phrasing in a way, you are working on playing in a way that you would never actually play. Like you're working on doing something that has a childish logic to it, especially like coming out of it. But it's not something you can skip. You can't like not do that ever and expect to have organization built into your playing. It's sort of something you have to do for a while. Uh, I think the real issue is that people like love when they see like a great player for the first time. I think for a lot of people, what jumps out is how unpredictable the playing is. That's the exciting thing about great players, and they're like, so let's skip all the predictable things when we practice to be unpredictable like him. But it's more like if you liken it to driving, it's somebody taking some interesting turns on their way to get wherever they're going. But then these people are just, get in the car, drive over the fucking lake,
I
across the
don't know.
median. It's like
I
you gotta
really
have a
don't know if
concept
it's
of
on
the road.
purpose. I know what you're saying, but I don't think it's on purpose. Because I remember when we started playing together,
Mhm.
it's like if you hear recordings back, the phrases, like the length of the phrases, a lot of times it made no sense. Like it would be just a little bit too long.
Mhm.
That's what it felt like a lot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So for us, it was never that on purpose. It's just there is something about. It's hard to find a balance. That's what I'm saying. But
yeah.
it's
I mean,
not that
no, no.
easy to play something and just feel time and space in a way that's
Yeah,
working
but
musically.
both of us worked on question and answer phrasing way before we met each other. And I think a lot of the people in question here never actually sat down and played that way with a metronome for a while. Like that's something for me that I did as a kid, you
Yeah.
know, maybe not to the extent that I could have, but for sure more than 99% of people in Lynchburg.
No,
Uh,
for sure, for sure. It's weird.
so it's
It's
like it's something I consciously worked on really early on. And I think that's something you have to work on, or you're not going to have that skill. Like just the ability to leave an amount of space and play symmetric phrases to create symmetry, like in a four measure thing.
well, it's also something about learning music because if you know a lot of standards, you don't want to play a solo that's like a standard melody, but most of them are like the melodies are built that way. And if
Hmm.
you listen to a lot of music, it's just that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange. It's very strange, but yeah, it's a very common issue with students that they don't. Yeah, it just sounds like a mumble like of things that never stops.
Yeah. Yeah. So this week on Tuesday, I told you, but I'll say it on the podcast. I took a private lesson. I haven't done that in a long time since Gypsy Jazz right hand technique lessons. And I took a private lesson with the guitarist we met on the cruise, Alex Sill from what's the name of the band?
Protocol,
Protocol, right?
Protocol 5.
Yeah, it's Simon Phillips's band. I actually did not know who he was when we went on the cruise,
Yes,
and then I
don't.
realized I realized that I do know because I saw videos of him with Greg Howe. Um,
Oh,
but but anyways, this guy was a part of the Headless Army, uh, the Holdsworth thing, and man, some of that was a little awkward. I gotta say,
what the
it
lesson?
a little bit, yeah. I mean,
Well, it's
so
kind of weird for you to take a lesson with him.
yeah, it was also weird because like I got this strange feeling like really immediately that there's no that he's not really aware of our music. You know?
Oh, that's obvious.
Yeah. Um, I was kind of like, does he know us well? I'm sure he's heard us. He's heard us on the ship, but I don't know. But in any case, I'm just curious about anybody who plays like Alan because I'm always trying to find out like the system, the thing, like in Alan's playing that he's thinking. And I'm gonna spoiler alert, I didn't. Uh, but it was a little it, the one thing because he can play, Alex can play like a lot of that same kind of chromaticism, like a really similar. It does create a very Holdsworthy effect, and the way he was. It's the weirdest thing is that like
Wait,
what he said.
did you bring up Holdsworth in the lesson, or did you just ask him how he plays?
That was why it was so awkward because I didn't know how to approach it. So
So
yeah,
how did you?
immediate. I just asked about Holdsworth.
Okay,
I said the Holdsworth thing.
okay.
And we were just talking about the Holdsworth thing, which is weird too, because it's like, you know, like it's clearly he's doing that thing. So, but it's weird to take a lesson with a guy uh, and ask him about somebody else.
Especially because you knew Alan.
Yeah, I did know Alan, but
You
like
couldn't
Alan,
ask Alan
of
that.
course, you can't ask Alan about the Holdsworth thing because he wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, what would you ask him? How would you make a parody of himself, yourself?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know if somebody asked me like how I think about things, I would try to answer. It wouldn't help them.
They won't ask you like that, but yeah, it won't.
Well, I mean, I think you know when the notes you're playing are not mysterious, people are more likely to just give up on the whole endeavor. But because the notes he's playing are mysterious, it's weird. I don't know if you're aware. There's a guy who did like this intense
Analysis.
analysis of Holdsworth on YouTube. That's like a 6.5 hour lesson with like 250 solos transcribed, and it's like really like he's talking about like everything. I just found that like yesterday, like after Alex actually told me about this guy, like kind of not in a great way, but you know. But the interesting thing about that guy is that he doesn't have not Alex, the guy
Yeah.
that the transcription. He doesn't have the the musical depth for the level of analysis to be beyond no choices and physical shape on the guitar. So rhythm is like not really doesn't really play a part in this guy's conception of the phrasing, which is crazy because that's the one thing like Alan's rhythms as a guitar player are way more different than the note choices, even though the note choices are so weird. But the rhythms
It's
are completely weird because it's like a lot of septuplets, a lot of quintuplets in a row, you know. And it also like in his transcriptions, like the notes are there, but the rhythms are transcribed wrong. Like almost everything is written as like 16th notes and 32nd notes when it's
I
clearly not.
I don't know if I told him a podcast, but our bassist John, not this John, the other John before him, the bassist in 2015, 2016, he was uh, he was analyzing the Jacko solo on Donna Lee, and he had this one measure that he analyzed every quarter note, and I came to him and I was like, "What's a blues scale?"
Yeah, it's just like trying to
Right,
figure
but it
out
was like,
intervallically on the changes what each
yeah, it
note
was like
was.
a blues scale on the fifth or something, so or on the fourth, so it was like flat nine, sharp that. It's like, dude, it's a blues scale of
Yeah,
the one, you know. It's like, you idiot.
yeah,
And he was an idiot. So it's like, to me, those people, it's like the analysis they can do. You know, you can have an analysis that says how many times he plays E, how many times he plays F, how many times he plays F sharp, and you're gonna get. It's not gonna be even. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
I
then you
mean
can
it's
have like the intervals he's using and have an analysis of it. I'm saying it's like all this statistical analysis is so stupid because that's not the point. Like a lot of the stuff that Alan would do, like every player is just limited by some physical stuff that he figured out,
Mhm.
but it's not the point of the playing.
Of
And if
course,
you
but
start analyzing stuff like that, it's just you really don't know. Let me think about dude. I'm trying to think about an example. Okay, it's like if you take all the greatest physicists in the world, right? You have Isaac Newton and Einstein and what's the guy with the chaos theory and all those people,
Mhm.
right? And then you analyze the height, the weight, the like the muscle
muscle
mass,
mass.
the shoe size, the how long the toenails are, like the hair they got in their ears, the size of the nose, the thickness of their eyebrows, the eye color. It's like, dude, you know everything about the physicist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. If you don't have the musical knowledge, it's like you're just a fucking idiot. You know, just throwing out statistical analysis. It means fucking nothing.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
that guy, I mean, there were interesting things because he was analyzing a lot of videos, so he was getting the fingerings, right? So you could visually see some of the patterns. He was getting some of the notes and some of the choices, it's pretty insightful, it's pretty weird, like the choices themselves, but it gives you so little about how to actually, feel certain like if you are in the mindset
all
of
right, can you play like
abs.
Holdsworth?
No,
When he
not at
plays,
all.
it's like, oh, that
No,
sounds like Holdsworth.
it does not.
No, so it's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I know, but I'm saying that the reason. Listen, if you do a rhythmic analysis of something, you stand a chance of picking up a new trick.
Yeah, for sure.
It's if you listen to something and you realize what's being rhythmically what's being played against what, like most of the time you will learn nothing, but sometimes
Yeah, but you see, okay,
you
so
will pick up something with a sound.
that's a good example because most people that would do a rhythmical analysis won't even think about the type of groove it's on.
I know.
So that's like if you don't do that, then you're not doing anything.
It's so hard to learn because learning means that you need to not only take from a specific situation and understand why something has momentum in that situation. You also have to like fantasize about a similar situation that you might find yourself in where something could be useful to you.
So we are. One
Well, you're cutting up a little bit.
thing is what you just said about. Oh, I'm saying one thing is the groove, which you just like you said, because you immediately say what the groove is like, what you play on, and then the second thing is the grouping, which most people, unless they understand Indian solfege, completely ignore groupings
Yeah.
in the analysis. So it's another thing that's like you can't dismiss.
No.
This is my point. It's like you have to have a certain amount of knowledge to to extract this information from the solos. And the problem is that once you get people that have this knowledge, well, usually already have their own sound and their own shit going on, and they're not gonna do the most homework ever that's been done by a human being, right? It's like
So,
you will never transcribe. You did this thing about Scott and about Schofield, which
mhm,
is getting pretty like a lot of comments I'm saying, right?
mhm.
On our channel. Like, dude, you barely learn any of that stuff to do
No,
with
no,
you know what
I
I mean?
learned one Schofield lick.
I know. And you're
The
like, oh
only
yeah, that's
time I
what we
learned.
do. And you're like, that's what
So,
we do.
yeah, I mean, it's not what they actually do. It's what I figured out in the 3 minutes of work I put in
Yeah, you understand what I'm
on this
saying? It's like you
electric
would
miles video.
never. Yeah, that's exactly my point. That you would never do that. So
No,
it's like the people that have the
I did
tools
play
will
that
never
lick a
use it.
lot, especially on Dirty Horse.
I understand, but I'm saying the people. Yeah, I know in what's in that school, right? So the people that the people that have the ability to do something like that will never do something like that. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I gotta tell you some things that came up in the lesson with Alex. Actually, it got so awkward towards the end. I had to end it early. Like I
You
did.
want to end it early?
Yeah, I had like 45 minutes, and like we talked about all the things, and I was just like, "Thank you so
Why
much."
didn't you just shoot? Why didn't you just shoot the shit?
I just felt tense. I
Oh.
wasn't. I was pretty relaxed, but I felt that he was tense, and it was
Well,
uncomfortable.
you're a million times better than him at guitar, so it's kind of weird that he's teaching you a lesson
I
about something he doesn't really know.
well, the whole situation was a little strange, I admit, but you know, I mean, he's a great player. He's good at this thing. He's you know, we saw other people. We saw like Makacek on the boat. He didn't have it together. Like you never. The only other guy I can think of that had it pretty much together was the guy in that opened for us in Dallas, or
Yeah, outside of Dallas, yeah.
yeah, and he sounded like Alan, but he sounded like one of Alan's licks again and again and again. Uh,
I still think that my analysis of Alan is actually the most accurate one, but
the
since
octave
it's so
displacement stuff.
yeah, and since it's so difficult to play like that, it's basically impossible to play like that. Is unless you put all your fucking, you really have to brainwash yourself into playing like that. It's so
Well,
crazy.
okay, so
So so you,
I'll tell
I
you a few
can't
things.
test it.
I'll tell you a few things that came up. So one
Did you tell
tool,
him that? Did you bring it up?
no,
That thing? Because you understand what I'm saying? But the problem with my theory that this is the thing that gives Alan his sound is that you really can't test it because none of us can play like that.
yeah,
Not even slow.
yeah.
So
I can't think of like playing random like minor ninths and major sevens all over the neck.
yeah,
It's just I don't even have like after I do two of them, I don't even know what note to hit next.
yeah,
This
you have to
is
stop.
this is really my problem. It's so disjunct from my playing. I've spent my whole life building flow with it's so funny. You know, a lot of times like I don't remember who I was hanging out with. One of like Soraya's friends, like that works like in tech, and I was politely just asking this guy like, "What do you do?" And he started like going into it like for real, like trying to explain some things to me, like about what he does. And it's like I just wanted to tell him like I didn't mean it. It's like when you ask somebody how are you and they tell you, it's like the worst. But it's like, you know, it's just telling me about like I'm gonna say like I don't know C plus plus. Probably
Oh
not
wow,
that, but
that's
like
like Tupac.
yeah, yeah. I don't know exactly. I don't even know like what people use, but it's going in like slightly technical, and I just like well, I want it's like so yeah like just like if the conversation came. So if you put like a C7 in front of me. You know what I mean? Just like so, like
But
I can pretend there's a G7 there, play altered on that. Sometimes, like I touch the sharp 11 a little bit.
the thing that I always want to ask most people is like, how does it feel to destroy culture? Does it feel good to be a part of this huge machine just
Evil
destroyed our
force,
culture?
like the
Yeah,
Matrix. You're like making the machine that like
yeah, but made
puts
it
the that
so
turns the
bad.
babies into batteries.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
is this like, do you ever think about it, or you're just like, nah,
Anyway,
making money?
yeah, exactly. But I was like, dude, why can't like playing on C7 make money? Is there a
Yeah,
time? Oh, that'd be so great. All
yeah,
of
and
a sudden.
you know what people, because nobody cares. That's the problem. Because it's not like a lot of people can do it. Almost nobody can do it.
No, no. It's like if that was a monetize if you could monetize on that, dude.
That's the
Play
biggest
C7
myth.
all year.
That's the biggest myth on fucking internet. I told you is that there are so many good players out there that can do so many things with great technique.
No, but
But what you don't have is a lot of people with musicality.
I gotta break down some of this lesson. So first thing he showed me, was just like kind of string skipping, and he was trying to show me how, you know, using kind of really unorthodox fingerings on the guitar. So immediately, like I was sort of lost immediately because it's not how I visualize the fretboard.
Obviously,
You know, so it does like put you in like you know limbo, and and he was playing a 2/5 like an E flat minor to an A7, but he was playing like Dorian on the E flat and like symmetric diminished on the
A
on the
flat.
A flat, and he was saying that, like, kind of as an inside outside tool, not not on a 2/5 specifically, but on a minor chord. That's sort of like the in and the out,
Wait,
right?
wait,
So
wait. You cut out. So what do you say? Let's again.
I'm saying that, like, that was sort of like one tool for like playing kind
What
of
was
in.
the tool?
The tool is just switching between, like, if you're in a minor tonality or in a vamp situation, to pretend like it's a 2/5 going between like 2 and then 5 that's symmetric diminished.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Instead of
And
just two.
instead of just 2. Yeah, so you have like a place to bounce back and forth from, but using sort of big intervals and patterns that are sort of circular with these big intervals in different areas of the scale.
Yeah.
So that was that had kind of a sound, but not really what I was there for. And then I was asking about like the actual Holdsworthy sounding licks, and he showed me a few of them, and they were literally finger things, like symmetric patterns on the guitar that move with no. If anything, they were like 3 to 4 note clumps that belong to different diatonic scales, like in that kind of modulate around,
Yeah.
with no logic, other than the fact that you play them. With physical logic, just shapes, and confidence was the principle that made it sound okay. And the idea,
It didn't seem very confident to me, though.
not as when he was playing it, like the rhythm was there, and the idea, like as he said it, which it really blew my mind, because the way he said it was, you just kind of improvise, like really improvise. And it brought me back to my free jazz days in college, because I know the feeling of throwing your hand somewhere random on the instrument to make a sound happen. But in this context of fast playing, I just can't do it. It doesn't make sense to my brain.
I can do it on a piano.
Yeah, I know you can. But then he was showing me some examples, and it's like literally like driving a car, letting Jesus take the wheel, and then being like, just kidding, Jesus, and grabbing the wheel again. And he was like literally saying that, like, he starts off diatonic to wherever he's in, he lets go, and then he keeps the line going, and then he tries to grab it again. And that's sort of like the tension. And it's like, and that was the moment that I realized that my playing, I always thought that it doesn't have that level of dissonance, but it just doesn't have that level of letting go.
It's both.
It's both, but even on the off chance that all the notes I randomly hit happen to be diatonic, you know what I mean? I wouldn't go to unfamiliar shapes. I wouldn't just. It's not. It's hard to explain, but especially like with the faster things, I'm not playing licks, but I'm also not just throwing my hand and exploring shapes on the guitar as I'm playing. There's something else going on. Like, I have this mental template and a way of visualizing things, and there's a level of control.
He's also not doing that. He thinks he's doing it. He's not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He has finger patterns that
he has physical stuff.
Yeah, that he's not aware of.
Back to.
It's true, because they all have the same things. But at least I like the story. I like the story he tells himself, though.
I'm saying that if you throw your fingers randomly, sometimes it will be like, oh my God, it's a Charlie Parker lick. Like, if you give like a million monkeys, 1,000 monkeys, keep them typing for 1,000 hours or whatever, 1,000 years.
That'll eventually like
right.
Peace.
Yeah. So, um, so it's like it's not. We don't do that. It's like the random stuff is never like, oh my god,
Oh,
it's beautiful.
yeah.
Like it's always,
You're cutting out a little bit.
no, well, no, I'm saying it's just it's random. It's not that random. Like it's random compared to the harmony,
Yeah.
but it's not random compared to the physicality. It's just it doesn't work like that. But I was always saying about these people that I know how people are, and I met a lot of these people. They're not that smart, and they don't have this kind of. Everybody has to have a system. It's like that's how we navigate in the world, you know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like to people with no system to view the world. Like if you don't have any pattern that you can recognize in anything, it's like your mind would be broken every fucking second.
Oh,
You know.
this genius thing reminded me of something I saw on YouTube. There's this guy. You would know who he is. He's like a TV actor, like a D-lister, and you would know
Lorenzo
his
Lamas.
face. No, not that one. But that's a good guess. No, he's like a bald guy with glasses, chubby, like
Bobby Sixkiller.
no, not Bobby. Uh,
That's all the
so
people I know from TV.
I think Lorenzo Lamas is actually the name of the actor, and Bobby Sixkiller is the name of the character.
Well, it's yeah. What's his name? The renegade guy.
I forget. I forget.
Oh,
Something with a V, maybe.
I don't know. I know he's a renegade. I know they think he murdered his wife, but he didn't. He was framed. He
Yeah.
loved his wife, and now he's trying to catch the real killer, but also framed him. But he also has to escape the law. He's something renegade.
Isn't this like basically like the same movie with Harrison Ford, just with an Indian
As a sidekick.
sidekick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, no, neither of these guys. So it's a third guy, and he's telling a story that he was in a folk band like in the 70s. That was like really terrible when he was a kid, and he's telling like this long elaborate story about how the other kids in the neighborhood were like Jimmy and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they had like their first studio date to book their to record their folk band, and said they were a terrible band, and they decided Stevie's going to play guitar at the age 14 on their album, and like he didn't really want him to, he didn't know him, but everybody was like, he plays guitar so well, he's going to take you to the next level. And then he's explaining how like at the age of 14, Stevie sat there and just like was blazing, and like the sound engineer like was just like with his mouth open against the recording glass, and he was like calling other grown-ups, other adults to come see it, and then more people, and like by the time they kept having Stevie solo again and again over these tracks, and he was telling people, I can do this all day, and he said that like when you see, and all these people were seeing the genius for the first time, and once you see genius for real, you realize how far you are from it, and that it exists. And then I listened to the fucking recording, and it sucked. It was so bad.
Yeah, no shit. He was 14.
I know, but that's, he did become Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I'm sure that the other people were probably 15, and the guy was in fucking bumfuck in the 70s, where you never, like, an electric guitar was like a new instrument. Barely saw anybody play with like gain. Everybody was playing with like, like half brain dead. In those times, there's no such thing as slightly technical playing, but yeah, man, it was just so much hype, and I was actually excited.
Dude, we have friends that think that your best playing was when you were 15.
I know. Well, when you're a kid, it's like the trees look much bigger.
Yeah.
But I was really, a part of me was really ready to like get like blown away to see some like in step level playing, like Texas Flood kind of like with all the trickery already built in, and
At
it's just
14? No.
it's just yeah. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan is probably my favorite guitar player of all time, and I would still say that Stevie Ray Vaughan at 14 would not even do well on Instagram. He
Yeah.
did have something though. It was obvious then that he had
No, I
something.
believe it. No, I believe it. But you can see people with talent. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
something,
14.
but like something that like that that's Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like when
Yeah.
you hear it, like that that kernel of like awesomeness is there in the rhythm and the momentum. Like it just
The
packs. Yeah, the umph. He packs a punch. But yeah, not together. But yeah. So anyway, back to the Holdsworth thing. So yeah, after that, I went and saw a lot of people talk about it and listen to some more. And the funniest thing, because there are a few Alan interviews, like masterclass type things, like the one you remember when we were touring with him, he did that one masterclass. We
yeah.
didn't even go to it. We were like hanging out, like
In
shooting the
town.
shits with Leonardo.
Yeah.
No, we were by the merch table, like not even paying attention. I would do it. I would do that differently. I would actually,
I know. In the music, in the music
yeah.
store. We
Music
thought we were
store.
gonna do way more stuff with him.
Do you remember when that day where the guy with the mullet that owned the store was like touching his like playing Aham's guitar like it's so
When it was
pathetic.
coming, yeah,
He was just like he was really trying to savor this playing of Alan's guitar,
yeah.
but he was just playing the same like blues shit that he'd play on any other guitar. You know what I mean? Like I think he had it in his head that like it's something's gonna happen. I know that on my own
Well,
flesh.
I know what he thought is gonna happen, but he's gonna be able to tell that story to everyone until he's dead, and I'm sure he's doing it. So
Yeah, dude. He spent like 45 minutes just like in a room playing this headless guitar. That was like, you know, yeah, Alan probably had it for 2 months. He got it from Kiesel for free. Uh, but yeah, in any case, so it was one of those kind of master classes. And he did say one thing that I thought was sort of smart. Uh, like he said a lot of things, but like the way he looks at scales, like the way he looks at a major scale, he said that it made sense. It made sense for him to like look at, since in his music there's no point in coming up with like a start point. He never thinks about like modes really. He just writes the chords and just thinks about the scales. Like, cause there's no, for him, avoid notes are really not a thing,
yeah,
which I totally see. And you can hear, and the avoid notes are he's making like he's using the entire tonal structure. He just has a bass. He decides on a bass note, and it's just the
yeah,
scale spilled over it. But he did say that the way he oriented his thinking with scales was to think about Dorian instead of as home base instead of Ionian. And he said because it's the only place where the interval pattern repeats twice. And I never thought about
oh,
that. He said it.
that's true.
I know. So he said like that was like
But the guitar stuff.
yeah, but he said
But
like
yeah,
that. He said like that. It's like that was easy to remember. Like whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, and then again. And then he said, so then when I taught myself like melodic minor, I just changed one thing there, and then when he taught him like again he thinks, and then a harmonic minor, and then he think, so the way he thinks about like mapping out these scales, like in terms of if there was a starting point, that would be it. So it'd be like Dorian, melodic minor, harmonic minor, and then the fourth mode of harmonic major. That's his harmonic major because it's just a variation of
that
that,
makes sense.
right?
Yeah,
And
of Dorian. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
Dorian
all
sharp 4.
basically variations of
Oh no, it's
Dorian.
Dorian sharp 4 and
Sharp 4, major 7. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
major
like melodic
7. Yeah,
minor, sharp 4. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so, yeah, it was. So, I mean, that part of it really made sense. But then he was just talking about his own music and how in his music, like, it wouldn't make sense to think about things, you know, in a like having a number system, like a 1 chord, a 2 chord, a 3 chord,
yeah. Obviously,
a 4 chord, a two
yeah.
five one.
It's not. It's the harmony is not
Nothing ever moves that way.
functional. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
functional.
So if nothing ever moves that way, like those systems don't make sense. But then I thought about, like, a lot of almost all of the people that are big fans of his don't play music that's anything like that unless they go straight for copying him. So they always try to kind of drag that kind of thinking back into standards.
Yeah,
And it's literally like completely not fitted for that kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when also did on standards too, like it sounds like somebody is playing over backing tracks that have nothing to do with what he's playing with.
That's true.
Like I
Except for
would.
Countdown sounds pretty good. Like when there's so much when it's fast, unrelated chords, like a Coltrane substitution kind of thing, where you're
Yeah, then you can basically do almost. Yeah,
as long as you come back, like, but that's the one thing that he could do that none of his impersonators could do. He knew how to keep the form and come back to some things.
but like his Nuage version, it's like what the fuck is this?
Dude,
Like I would never know it was Nuage if I just heard the guitar track.
no,
And I heard the song a million times and played it a million times. So
yeah, it's a little.
it's weird. Yeah, it's kind of strange. Come on.
All right, I feel like we should stop here before you pass
Yeah,
out. You look like
yeah.
dying.
I'm so tired. All right, sorry. It's a short one today. We'll
All
do
good.
a better one next week.
All
All
right.
right, bye.
Bye bye.